Hey folks, this is Flatulent. I'm just making a video to show the current state of our Minecraft server. This is Direwolf20 1.7, and we've been playing it for, probably a year, maybe a little bit more, something like that. This is survival, and generally it's been me, my father, and my nephew, and we've been just going through the mod packs and trying to progress as much as we can. So when I first started, this was the first settlement that I created to just live and not die by the hands of all the zombies and people, and made a little basement, and this place quickly became the site of all the quarrying. Pretty much this is where we were doing all the turtle quarrying, so we used turtles to do all the mining for us, and they've hollowed out a really good amount of this stuff. And so all the machines and smelteries were moved from this location to the next place, and I'll show you where we ended up there. So not too far away we found a village, and the village was one of the big walled-in kind of villages, and that was big enough for each of us to choose a corner and start building, and I'll head over to my place. So I found a little corner in the village, and this is the settlement that I built right here. Right next to it I moved my smeltery, and pretty much haven't moved this smeltery since. This is pretty much how this area looked. On the inside, this was used just to sleep in here, and then all of my machines and all of my production was sent down into here. I'm still using this site for my farming and getting all of the meats and leathers and things like that. So I set up a tree farm, and this is basically one that Direwolf used in his video series. I highly recommend checking it out. Most of the things that I do in here are just taken from what he's built in his series. Underneath, it's using an alloy smelter to turn the oak wood that it farms into charcoal to burn, and that powers the tree. And then I'm using a lot of the wood to auto-craft wooden axes to do the cutting down. So basically this is a self-sustained, this requires no power outside of what it's producing on its own, and it's sending it all through an ender chest into red, white, and blue. You can see that's my input chest. Everything from all of my systems seems to go into there to make it into my system. So that's the tree farm. Next to the tree farm, this is where I am still harvesting wool from my sheep, and this is just a miniature farm. And I'm getting cactus. Every time this cactus grows, it goes right into this vacuum chest after getting knocked off, just like this does. Now this is still a manual process right here. I need to automate that at some point. Same with my melons. I haven't had a need to automate this. So one of the other projects I got onto was bees. I have using a bunch of industrial apiaries, and all of this genetic bee machinery was used to create the emerald bees, which are now producing little emerald shards that I'm converting into emeralds. It's a way to mass produce emeralds, as well as I believe I have lapis in here, and I'm using one for, here we go, Valiant, for cocoa. I am making cookies. The cookies are for anyone that's in my lobby. You'll be able to push a button and get free cookies, and I'll show you that later. One of the other projects I got involved in was Botania, and it was pretty fun. I ended up getting some Terra Steel armor from it, and some baubles that I think this Power Class Pendant and Sojourner Sash. It's not in-game, but I just haven't had a lot of need to upgrade those things to the Globetrotter Sash and all that stuff. It just hasn't really been something I've needed. And then I got into blood magic, and this is pretty similar to the way that Direwolf20 set his up. I'm using let's see, some conveyor belts with some, what is that? That's tainted soil. What is it called? Cursed earth. and that'll produce zombies as soon as I turn off the lights. And if I really want to speed things up, I'll actually turn the spawner on as well. That will kick zombies down like crazy, where I end up sacrificing them here right above the altar for the blood, in order to produce the items that you need to further this mod pack. So it's pretty neat. So having outgrown this little area, I've decided to go ahead and I was producing enough certain kind of glass and stone to be able to create just a huge building, and I decided to make sure that it would hold everything. So here's the new building. It is I don't know, 9-ish floors using dark glass, and it pretty much is the biggest construction I've ever built that I've fully used. I mean, I've built bigger things, but every floor except for one, I think, is used for something. So let's check and see what's going on in there. So its neighbors are these pretty loud guys who I try to get them to keep it down, but they just they're pretty obnoxious. But so this is the lobby. I basically mimicked the downtown lobbies. I actually work in a tall building downtown, so this is kind of just resembles a lot of that. I've got a little front desk where if you want a cookie, you can get a cookie. I'm producing all the cocoa with the bees and the wheats from the wheat farm. So this is just I'll never run out of cookies. And I'll put it back there. I don't want it right now. And just some decorations. Nothing crazy down here. I have 2 lasers, and they don't produce very quickly, but they produce off like constantly. So this is just a display of what they're currently producing. I've got ender chest piping things in and out. This was unnecessary, but I did like to see. I did like to have an idea of what's kind of coming in and out through the lasers. I wish it was a little bit faster. Maybe at some point I'll add a bunch of lasers to it, but 2 seems to be good for now. A little chunk loader, keeping my building loaded. Well, let's go down and see what's powering it. This is where I'm producing all the power for this building. So I'm using the big reactors, turbines, and instead of using a reactor with a turbine, normally you have a reactor and it would be sending steam from the reactor to the turbine, but I'm using steam boilers because that's free energy. I'm not using Yellorium in this setup. I'm actually just crafting lava from these lava fabricators, and the lava is going over to the steam boiler to turn into steam, and the steam is getting turned into power. And I actually have 4 of these setups, and each one of these is producing 24,000 RF per tick. Let me check. I think that's right. About 24,000 RF per tick. And this is hands off. Once I built it, I really don't have to touch it. It's self-sufficient, and I don't have to worry about things blowing up. The first 2 turbines are actually powering my laser. So this is deep down into the basement. This is where my lasers are, and they're using about 20,000 RF per tick. And they're currently both on and running. Don't have to worry about them. These are the aqueous accumulators, and there's a better way to do this, but I created a whole bunch of aqueous accumulators to provide all the power for the turbines. Right up above us is the turbines. Alright, so let's go check out what all these guys are powering. Alright, so we're back at the lobby. I'm going to go ahead and go up 1 floor. The first floor is my storage area, so I'm using a lot of deep storage units. The reason why is these things cap out at 2 billion of a certain kind, and I just wanted to make sure that I could grow forever. I think the most I have of anything is probably stone at about almost 1 million. I think I've got cobblestone in here somewhere. There we go. My cobblestone, I think, is at 1.1 million. Yeah. But yeah, these storage units are connected to my ME system. I've got peer-to-peer tunnels going to it. Actually, let's go look at the ME system. So this is kind of a behind the walls. It's kind of a server closet for this whole building. I've got my main ME system right here. This is the main controller. Everything is connected to it, but I've got this separate ME controller here. This is a separate system that is providing transit of the peer-to-peer tunnels to each of the floors in each of the different places. So I have basically this network is basically your patch panel in like a building, and this right here is the ME system that is my core switch. Basically, it's yeah, and it's using these peer-to-peer tunnels through that network. I could go into it, but honestly, there are a bunch of videos you can check out to understand how to do this. It took me a long time to figure out. But yeah, this is the ME system, and it's sloppy, but it's the best. It's the best I've done so far. So this is a peer-to-peer tunnel. It's got dense cables coming out, so I'm using all 32 channels. Each one of these deep storage units have a storage bus connected to them, and there's 32 of them, so I needed that whole dense cable and that whole peer-to-peer channel for just these 4 right here. And this is basically the start of the next group. I haven't filled them all out yet, and as you can see, I've got 2 blank spaces. So these are all of my drives. They are what you call a SuperSorne Drive. If you're interested, you can check that out. It's basically a way of having infinite drives using just one channel. As you can see, one channel is being used here, and it's a storage bus connected to basically another network. And each one of these 6 drives are their own network. So this 6 drive is its own network, and this 6 drives, and so on. It's basically a daisy chain using one channel. And with the amount of drives in here, I haven't had to worry about anything. So that's pretty awesome. Alright, we can go up to the next floor. This is basically where I do all the automated crafting. I should never have to come to this floor. This floor should be doing all of the molecular assembler stuff and all the automated crafting, smelting and stuff that if I ever want Enderium, I can just request it. Let's say if I do a processor, let's just get 10 of those. And now I can watch this guy come over here and just start pressing things. I don't have to touch any of this stuff. It just goes. And these are all the different co-processing units to handle all that crafting. Because upstairs is where I'll request, and this is basically my main floor. This is where I do all of the manual crafting. I have access to all the machines here, and these machines, some of this carpenters from forestry, big reactor, create this cyanite stuff, and yeah. So this is just the floor that I live on. That's why I put my bed up here. I just spend so much time here, and it's got a kind of cool view. I like it. That will take us to the next floor. This floor is just for items coming into my network. This is the ender chest where everything comes into. You can see redstone, gravel, anything that's seeds, anything that anything that out there is being automatically produced. It comes into this chest, and then it gets routed, as you can see, behind the scenes to all of these, like all my honeycombs come into here, and the emerald fragments from the honeycombs get crafted here, and pulverized, redstone, furnace, all that stuff, and they end up here. This is where it gets imported into my system behind the scenes. So the next floor up was just stuff I couldn't dedicate a whole floor to. So railcraft, I really haven't done a lot with railcraft. I've got blast furnace, coke oven, and smeltery, typical smeltery setup. This is kind of the new smeltery, and I've got it automated. If I smelt anything, it automatically gets piped out of here and sent into the system, so I don't have to worry about picking it up. And these guys are awesome. They're my Ender Lily farm guys, and they do all the farming for me, so I don't have to worry about it. Alright, and then the top, or second to top, or however, we're close to the top. This is my Ender farm, or my mob farm. I've got some cursed earth in there. There we go. And if I want to, I've got a grinder going to get a whole bunch of this essence, and then I use it for the spawner. The spawner can produce like blazes, or right here if I need the skeletons to get their skulls or whatever. And yeah, this is a pretty cool little mob farm. Let's turn the lights off and let it do its thing. So we can. It might be a little too loud. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to blaze it up right now. The next floor I haven't done anything with. That's I was gonna put Thaumcraft up here, but it looks so cool I decided to make that on the top floor, which is kind of like the Penthouse. So I've got Thaumcraft going as far as actually recharging my wand automatically, and got another one of these awesome little dudes harvesting all the essence and putting them into the different jars. And this is where I can do my crafting on my altar. Looks pretty slick. I didn't get a chance to do anything awesome with this because by the time I had this wand recharge pedestal, I had this this thing automatically recharging my wand. And I accidentally threw my awesome wand, was a silverwood, into here and accidentally disposed of it. So I'm using my secondary, my bone wand for now. But that's about it. So that's this building. Not a lot more going on. At some point this was going to be a huge power lava generated area, but with those turbines, man, turbines are producing so much power. Yeah, this is the biggest building that I've done yet, and I'm excited about it. It's probably about time to start a new Direwolf pack. I'll probably be getting into some of the new ones and seeing how they do. All right, well that's it for now.